the friggin' thing again. Seriously.
You're going to rant about it in every video. It's not going to get better.
It's getting ridiculous now. No matter where I put the thing, the stop sign's in the middle of my head.
It's not going to get better.
Oh,
just face it.
Anyways, inside the ropes, I'm scooching over. I can't do this. I can't have a big stop button in the middle of my forehead. There we go. Inside the ropes, we are back. And we are back because of some distressing news on the WWE hotlines today.
Yep.
And we've double-checked it, we've triple-checked it to make sure it wasn't some kind of false story before we came on here. And it turns out it's absolute reality. Austin Aries has been released, or asked for his release. We don't really know which way this went down yet. But we do know that he will no longer be on the WWE roster, period. And this is a sad day for a WWE fan. Because Austin Aries, at least this is just my opinion, is one of the top 10 guys out there right now. And he never got used to his potential in WWE. He never even got a chance to live up to his potential in WWE. You know, he got signed in with NXT. They hyped him up as the biggest free agent signing ever. And then what was it, like a week later, not even? Nakamura came in and Aries just got pushed off to the side. And I understand, man, the Nakamura hype train is huge. I get it. I have no issue with it. But it's like, what, you can't have two guys getting a push? Like, I don't understand. Aries completely got forgotten about. He never got an NXT title run. He never got any title runs in his WWE career.
Except for the Cruiserweight title, but that's about it.
No, I mean actually holding the title.
Oh, okay.
Not competing for one, actually holding a title.
Yeah, in that case, no, he never got anything.
I mean, like, seriously. And they can't say it was his ring work because his matches with Neville were unbelievable ring work matches. Even his match with, he had a match with Gallagher, didn't he?
I don't remember.
I think he had a match with
Gallagher.
His
match with No Way Jose was pretty good.
You know, even his match with Baron Corbin on NXT. That was a hell of a match. You know, like, and we've seen Austin Aries. Listen, this is a guy who's had, in TNA, had memorable matchups with Bobby Roode. Amazing matchups with Jeff Hardy. You know what I mean? He just had great runs in TNA. Matches that proved he could get in there with guys much bigger than him and put on great matches. And for some reason, the writers over at WWE just had no idea what to do with him. Like, I just don't understand what happened here.
Like, how should that even be a question of what to do with him?
It should have been, what can't we do with him?
Exactly. Like, you should have had no problem fitting Austin Aries in at least the Intercontinental and the U.S. title picture.
Listen,
but no, you stick the, pun intended, you stick the greatest man who ever lived in 205 Live. That is least relevant than Roman Reigns' turd right now.
I don't understand what was done here. I mean, there was a legitimate void in the heavyweight title picture of the small guy. There's always been that small guy. You know, they weren't always necessarily smallest guys in the world, but like, you can go all the way back with this. Shawn Michaels, Bret the Hitman Hart, Chris Jericho. There's always been that guy who was smaller than the big guys, but was technically more sound than any of them in the ring. That was always in the picture. Austin Aries could have easily filled this void when they lost to Eddie O'Brien.
Yeah.
Easily filled that void. He's just as good as Bryan in the ring. He could have easily filled that void.
Could have.
And yet instead, he loses 3 in a row to Neville. Or no, 2 out of 3. He won 1 by disqualification. And then leaves the scene and is subsequently let go. I don't understand what happened here. Well, you know, and I'm not going to crucify WWE completely because maybe there was something else going on here. But even if Aries asked for his walking papers, his complaints had to be legitimate here.
Yeah.
He came over believing he was going to get the respect he deserved. And yet instead, I believe, looking at what happened on 205 Live, if he sat back and looked at it the way I did, because I said it right here in front of this damn phone, after he lost to Neville for the final time, what were they going to do with Austin Aries now? You couldn't push him in any of the main title pictures now because you've painted this image that the cruiserweights aren't good enough to be in there with the bigger guys. So if he couldn't beat the best cruiserweight in the world, how was he going to go out and beat the best big guys in the world?
Got a point. Very valid point.
You know, and this isn't the first time we've seen this, though. This isn't the first time WWE has failed to cash in on a tremendous talent.
No, they have not.
You know, they're getting a second chance with Drew McIntyre, but they almost fucking blew it with that one. They've blown it throughout the years.
I feel like Drew is going to be much like Sami Zayn. He's going to...
I feel like Drew's got a heel turn in him.
I feel like Drew is going to be kind of like Sami Zayn. He's going to win the NXT title, but then when he gets to the main roster, he's going to fall just ever so short.
Yeah, but you know what? As much as we always say that Sami falls short, you can do a lot worse than Sami Zayn's career right now.
Yeah.
He's always involved in the main event picture. He's just never winning it.
You could be Austin Aries.
Exactly. You could be not involved, period.
Yeah.
You could almost look at it as Sami Zayn is kind of paying his dues right now if you want.
Yeah.
You know? Because, I mean, even like you look at the Shield, they came in with the biggest hype train in the world. They didn't go right to winning world titles, though. Even when they went in their individual road, they all had to wait their respective moments to get their shots. But this isn't the first time we've seen a talent get wasted. You can go back throughout the years, and I'll go back to a guy who was the franchise in ECW.
Shane Douglas.
Came over to WWE, got stuck with a shitty-ass gimmick where he was the professor.
Yeah, the professor gimmick.
Lasted all of like 6 months, and he was gone. This is a guy that ECW was building their company around at the time, and their company was flourishing. WWE got him, wasted him, and sent them right back. Another one, Taz. Taz, at the time he was signed to WWE, was arguably the hottest thing in wrestling outside of WWE.
Yep.
I was growing up in that era. I used to stay up until 1 o'clock in the morning to watch ECW on local access.
Yep.
Just so I could see Taz. They got him.
Taz is that dude.
He got put into a gimmick thing with Kurt Angle where they outlawed his Taz mission, said he was illegal and this and that, but he beat Kurt Angle his very first night in the company.
Yep.
Ended Kurt Angle's undefeated streak, and then went off to obscurity.
Yep.
He was a hardcore champion, I think, once. He was a tag team champion, I think, twice. But Vince never took him serious because he thought Taz was too small.
Yeah.
I think there was a huge opportunity missed with Taz and Steve Austin.
Definitely.
I think those two, with the way they acted, the way they talked, their I don't give a fuck attitudes,
The fuck the world attitude.
they
it's
could have
like,
put on great matches together.
It could have been great. But of
Jerry
course-
Lynn.
Oh, Jerry Lynn's a whole nother story.
Jerry Lynn went over to WWE and never did nothing. And this is a guy who might have been one of the greatest in-ring performers we've ever seen.
Jerry Lynn, they could have easily stuck going for a world title picture.
Listen, both Jerry Lynn and Rob Van Dam came over from ECW. We saw the matches they put on in ECW. Now, Van Dam got put in title pictures right away, almost. Why, when Van Dam had the Intercontinental title, why couldn't they put Jerry Lynn as his opponent?
Yeah.
The gimmick would have worked too. They could have had Jerry Lynn come out and say, Rob, you know, blah, 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 you did this, you won the Intercontinental title, but there's one guy who's always giving you a problem, and that's me.
Yeah, and even back in ECW, their rivalry was awesome.
They could have continued it. Pay-per-view numbers would have been outrageous because people knew how good these guys were. But I'll go even further than this. Perry Saturn,
Oh, dear God.
Dean Malenko,
Yep. Probably one of the greatest technical and submission specialists I have ever seen in my life in Dean Malenko.
Ultimo Dragon. These are all guys who in ring were phenomenal, and WWE just ruined them. And you got guys like the Great Khali. This dude couldn't even run. He could barely friggin' walk. And yet they got him in high-profile matches with John Cena and The Undertaker. They put him in a friggin' Punjabi prison match. I don't even think he could climb. Like, the dude was one of the worst guys you could ever see in the ring. His only thing was that he was big.
That was it.
That's it. He was big.
They completely wasted Jack Swagger.
I mean, the list could go on forever, honestly.
Swagger would have been
Rhino.
this generation's Kurt Angle.
Rhino.
Rhino, too. Like,
Rhino never got the shot he did. Listen, in ECW, and this is Paul Heyman for you, man. Listen, for those of you who don't give Paul Heyman the credit he deserves or think he's annoying or whatever you want to think,
Paul Heyman is a fucking genius.
Paul Heyman's a friggin' genius when it comes to promotion work and that kind of stuff and building a wrestler. Because he built Rhino in ECW to be an unstoppable monster who came out, destroyed whatever was in front of him, gored the hell out of everybody, and left. And yet, he came over to WWE, same way the rest of them did when they bought out ECW, and he just got lost in the shuffle.
Yep.
Bam Bam Bigelow.
Dear God.
Bam Bam Bigelow, again, in ECW, Paul Heyman had Bam Bam as a beast, as a monster. In WWE, he never got past the mid-card status.
Never did.
Ever.
And this is a fat man doing a moonsault.
Yeah. This is one of the most athletic big men you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
And,
I've never seen a fat dude do a cartwheel.
and
Until Bam Bam Bigelow.
you can even go more high profile with it if you want. Sting.
Shit.
Sting is arguably one of the most popular superstars in wrestling history. He was, period, the biggest superstar in WCW history. I don't care about Goldberg. I don't care about Ric Flair. I don't care about Hogan. While they all had their moments, Sting was there from the beginning till the end. And when his gimmick started to dry out, found a way to resurge himself and repackage himself as the biggest thing in wrestling.
Exactly. When the surfer gimmick started dying out, he's like, all right, let me try something new. Shaped after the Crow. Then
You know-
when the Wolfpack black and white feud started at its peak and started really getting intense, things like, all right, you know what? Fuck you guys. Join the black and red. Painted his face.
He stayed loyal to WCW forever, even to the point where he refused to sign with the WWE because he felt like Vince was going to give him the shaft. Like they were not going to give him what he had earned at this point. Went to TNA, had a great run with TNA, continued to be a great in-ring performer even well past his prime. And then when he finally decides, when he finally felt like things were right to go to the WWE, he gets his Hall of Fame induction, which was more than deserved at this point. He gets his dream matchup with Triple H. Now here's what little was known. And this was never in writing, but it was verbally agreed to. That if he dropped 1 to H, he was going to get A, a title shot eventually, and B, his dream match. The one match he's been dying for. He's even said it in interviews. And that's The Undertaker. He got his title run. He got his title shot. And it was ridiculous. And it wound up almost costing him his career because Seth Rollins powerbombed him into the corner and hurt him.
Yep.
And then that was it.
Never saw him.
His WWE run consisted of 2 losses. That's it. The man never even got a win in the WWE ring. He's arguably one of the biggest superstars to ever touch a ring, and he doesn't even have a win in the WWE. How the hell does this happen?
Vince McMahon logic.
I mean, like, honestly, I don't understand what the hell we're seeing here. Scott Steiner was huge at the time he came over to WWE. Huge. The Big Papa Pump gimmick was working. And they had him in arm wrestling matches.
Against Triple H.
And trying who was he trying to win the heart of? Stacy Keibler, right?
Keibler.
Yeah, he was trying to get Stacy Keibler from Test.
Listen, man, that's another failed cash-in. You should have cashed in on Test when you had the chance.
Tensai.
Oh, Albert.
Prince Albert. Whatever.
Yeah. Made him a monster when he first came in.
First it was the Prince Albert gimmick, which was terrible.
That was horrible.
But then the Tensai.
Prince Albert is the name of a dick piercing, if you don't know.
But then Tensai was working.
Tensai was really working.
And then all of a sudden
John
he's
Cena.
out there dancing with the fucking
Brodus Clay.
Brutus Clay.
Then John Cena came along first, and then that's when he started things.
So he leaves WWE, goes to New Japan, where they actually use the Tensai gimmick. He wins their World Grand Prix and everything else.
Yep.
They built him up as a monster, as an unstoppable force, and it was working. The fans were eating it up. This is not a first-time occurrence, people. And I got news for everyone. The Cruiserweight division is dying right before our very eyes.
It's not even dying, it's dead.
Okay?
Point blank, it's dead.
Guys like Neville are going to be back to not wrestling again soon.
Yep.
And we've seen some great talent come through 205.
I think the only people...
We've seen Neville hit his full potential. We've seen how good Neville can be.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a goddamn shame that we're not going to see him again.
I honestly think the only people that they'll keep from 205, just because of their relevance...
I think Jack Gallagher will stay around, only because of his gimmick.
Gallagher will stay around because of the gimmick.
And because they could put him in the European title picture if they want.
Yeah, the UK title.
Yeah.
Him against Pete Dunne would actually be pretty cool. I think TJP is destined to stay.
He's too popular with the girls and the kids and
He's
stuff.
way too popular to just push to the sideline. I think he'll be a solid mid-carder, but I don't see him going anywhere after that.
Mustafa Ali's gone.
Mustafa Ali, as much as I love Mustafa Ali,
And his finisher's amazing.
and his
but he's
finisher
gone.
is oh my god.
He's too
He's
small,
gone.
too skinny. Vince is never going to work him against the big guys.
Who I think they might keep, and I really hope they do because I'm actually a big fan of this guy, Tony Nese.
Kendrick Perkins is gone.
Huh?
Kendrick Perkins?
Kendrick Perkins.
Brian Kendrick, I'm sorry.
The fuck?
I was thinking of a fucking player for the Boston Celtics. Holy shit. Brian Kendrick, gone.
Kendrick was
Akira
only...
Tozawa,
Gone.
gone. So many guys are about to lose their job, it's ridiculous.
Yep.
205 Live is destined for failure right now.
I seriously do hope they keep Tony Nese.
I mean, honestly.
Solid mid-carder.
The only chance they had of saving it was putting their chips on Austin Aries. And then bringing talent in to face Aries.
Yeah.
And they didn't do anything close to that.
Because let's face it, Neville already ran through the entire division.
Yeah. And unless they've got some amazing cruiserweight stashed away somewhere on their way to that show to face him, I don't see this working out.
I don't see it happen.
And honestly, the Austin Aries thing is just more proof to me that Vince is still suffering from the Daniel Bryan thing. Seeing what he was afraid of actually come to fruition, Daniel get hurt and not be able to keep up his main event status, after they put everything behind the Daniel Bryan Express, tells me he's never going to trust a little man ever again. It's the reason why I think AJ's been bumped to mid-card right now.
Could be.
It's just...
And it's ultimately also the fact that Vince has lost touch with his fan base. Completely lost touch. Like, the touch is, like, over here, and he can, like, barely get a hand on it. Like,
yeah, I don't know what they're doing right now. You know, I mean...
He's getting bored with Roman.
When Roman's actually picking up steam right now.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, I can't wait to see Roman and Braun.
Yeah.
I really can't. I'm looking forward to that match. Ambulance match, no holds bar. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be great.
Guarantee you right now, somebody's going through something.
You're going to see a bunch of I'm not finished with yous.
Yeah, we're going to see spears through things. We're going to
see a bunch of brawns.
We're going to see chairs. We're going to see tables. We're going to see it all. And that's one thing I don't think Roman Reigns gets the credit for here. He is more than willing to put his body through hell to make us happy. And
that is.
Braun looks like he's getting in shape, man. Like he's getting ready for these
Braun
things.
lost a lot of weight.
Let's hope he doesn't fizzle out too, though, right now. But yeah, the Austin Aries things definitely was upsetting to hear, and it brought to mind a lot of sour grapes about. And the biggest one for me, Mike Awesome. Now, most people probably don't even know who the fuck Mike Awesome is right now. In fact, as I'm saying his name, you're probably sitting there going, "Fuck is Mike Awesome? What the fuck are you talking about?" Mike Awesome
was awesome.
Was a 6'8", I believe, 280-pound monster whose power was off the charts, whose athletic ability was ridiculous. He moved like a cruiserweight with the power of a super heavyweight. You want to know who Mike Awesome is? Go on the WWE Network, go to the ECW pay-per-view section, and find the matches with him and Masato Tanaka. Some of the greatest matches you'll ever see. And this is a guy who, towards the end of the ECW run, was their ECW champion, was actually at one point ECW champ and half of the tag team champions.
Nope.
Was demolishing everything. He gets signed and he fizzled out to nothing. Absolutely nothing. To the point where you don't even know his name. So, this is not the first time I've seen this. I mean, shit. He stuck one of the Guerreros in the gobbledygooker.
Yeah, Hector.
Okay?
He stuck Hector Guerrero as the gobbledygooker. And, for those of you people that don't know, it was almost The Undertaker in that gobbledygooker costume.
Good God.
Taker had a choice of 3 gimmicks. A Viking, an Undertaker,
Or the gobbledygooker.
or the gobbledygooker.
Thank God he took the Undertaker gimmick.
Could you picture him having a streak at WrestleMania as a fucking Viking?
It wouldn't have worked.
It wouldn't have worked.
He would have fizzled out. The Undertaker gimmick is legendary because it's still to this day different from anything out there.
Yeah.
There is really nothing like the Undertaker gimmick. It's the reason that Sting's Crow gimmick has been so successful. Yeah. Because there's really nothing else like it. And it's the reason why Bray Wyatt should be so much bigger than he is.
Because honestly, yeah, you got the Undertaker, you got the Crow gimmick, but no one has seen a demonic cult leader gimmick.
Nor have we seen one who can work the mic the way Bray Wyatt can.
Bray Wyatt, literally, when he's in that ring, he literally believes he's God.
He cuts promos like no one I've ever seen. Okay, I thought CM Punk was good. This guy puts Punk to shame on a mic.
Yeah.
Now, we haven't seen him do what Punk did. The honesty and attacking the industry and all that. That's what made Punk legendary. was that he was able to call out Vince and do it in a way that, like, it wasn't part of the show.
And it wasn't part of the show.
Okay? But
they just handed him a mic and said, here,
I have never
do
seen
something.
WWE before hand the mic to someone and say, go be Bray Wyatt. They have no idea what this guy's going to say. They just let him go out there and run his mouth. And it works.
I feel bad for Bray, man.
I do. He should be so much bigger than he is. He should be on a different level right now. He shouldn't even... Like, all right, the feud with Rollins is fine. He should never be in the ring with anybody that doesn't belong in the main event picture. He should be that kind of guy right now.
Should be.
But this Austin Aries thing just brought up all this shit to the surface right now, man. And I look at the landscape of WWE and I see so many guys who are in danger of the same fate.
Unfortunately.
Ty Dillinger's right there right now.
Yep. Rusev.
You know, the 10, I know that's still popular with the fans. Congratulations. That'll do as much as making sure he gets seen every now and again.
Yeah. Rusev's suffering right now, too. I haven't even seen Rusev.
No, and he's ready to come back. He's been cleared.
So what the fuck is going on?
No idea.
I love Rusev.
I loved it back when they were doing the right gimmick with him.
Yeah.
And then fucking John Cena.
And then John Cena came and it's like, oh, well, bye.
That's it. Let's end the Rusev break, Rusev crush, and let's turn him into an asshole that can't beat anybody.
Yep. Someone that they really destroyed. I'll bring this one up. That they really destroyed that could have been a top guy. Because he was a top guy everywhere else he fucking went. Wade Barrett.
And his Bad News Barrett gimmick was actually good.
His Bad News Barrett resurfaced him.
It was good.
Coming out on a fucking like 10-foot fucking...
I'm afraid I've got
pedestal.
some bad news for you. I loved it.
He had the potential to be a world champion. But John Cena happened. Which John Cena...
And then he became the victim of the Daniel Bryan Express.
Exactly. Which John Cena killed the whole Nexus gimmick. The Nexus could have been... Should have been...
The Shield before the Shield.
Basically, the one stable that nobody can beat. Hell, it was John's idea to go over on the Nexus. When even Edge and Chris Jericho were saying, are you fucking kidding? Like, this is big right now. This is probably the biggest hype of, like, this year. John Cena went over him. Momentum killed. Edge and Jericho actually ran out after the match and started saying, what the fuck did you just do? And then Cena admits, shit, maybe this was a bad idea.
And now every one of those guys from Nexus is no longer anywhere to be seen.
Darren Young is stuck somewhere.
Ryback's gone.
Ryback's gone. Heath Slater is in with Rhino. Justin Gabriel's gone. Mason Ryan, as far as I know, he doesn't even wrestle anymore.
Every one of those guys fizzled out to nothing.
The only one that hasn't fizzled out, but is slowly fizzling out, is Bray Wyatt. Unfortunately. Because he went from a little puny, fat boy Husky Harris to the demonic cult leader god that you see today on TV.
Listen.
Best transformation.
The only thing that Nexus did do was show Vince exactly what not to do with the Shield. The reason the Shield was, and forever will be, in my opinion, the most dominant faction we ever saw, was because Vince did not allow an outside force to destroy them.
Yep.
In fact, the only way that, in my opinion, the Shield could be stopped was the way they were stopped.
Yep.
And that was an inside implosion.
Yep.
But you're talking about the perfect opportunity to ruin the Shield was there. When they brought back Evolution and they were trying to do the Batista push again, there was the perfect opportunity to ruin Evolution. And yet instead, They let the Shield win not once, but twice, and have a clean sweep against Evolution.
Yeah.
It was a huge statement for those three, and it catapulted all three of them to where they are now. Although I'm a little worried about Dean Ambrose's career right now.
Yeah.
But we just wanted to come on and do this real quick because we saw the Austin Aries thing, and it's a very sad day right now because I was so excited when Aries got signed.
Aries doesn't even seem to be affected on it. He tweets, "Oh, it's a beautiful day."
I think Austin's happy because he saw where his career was going with them, and that's nowhere. Now he can go sign with Ring of Honor or New Japan Pro Wrestling, hopefully. I hope he doesn't go back to TNA. God,
If he goes to TNA, he just suicided his career.
I hope he goes to Ring of Honor or New Japan and he resurrects his career. And maybe when the time is right, he comes back.
Oh, listen. He goes back to Ring of Honor, puts on a couple of good matches against like Cody, Chris Daniels, and all them. Vince will break out his checkbook again.
But Austin Aries, we salute you. We think you're amazing. You did not deserve this shitty run. But apparently Vince McMahon is just an idiot. That's it. That's it, guys. Thank you very much. See you next time.